Hello and welcome to Gmodism Total Nerdery channel. Today is a very special day. Today we will have a pretty exclusive interview with the Schema for 2019 about the history, the current status and future of the game. So welcome.
Hello.
Alright, so we'll basically jump right into it. You can see the nice station by Andy in the background, by the way, and Schema is the default character sitting straight across. But I guess the maker of the game is has the privilege of being the default character.
Yeah, I always use default.
Alright, so I'll just jump in and I will begin with asking, what has been your largest inspiration to create StarMade?
So, I kind of always wanted to make games, and StarMade basically is a collection of the kind of games I mostly played as a kid. Well, not mostly played, but that kind of were the dearest to me as a kid. Games like X-Wing and even completely unrelated games, but they have a lot of freedom, like and the Elder Scroll games, the old ones, Oblivion and Morrowind, for example.
Alright.
And those kind of like experiences really gave it to me, but also whole multiplayer aspect in how back in the day we used to like just hang out on specific game servers like in Counter-Strike or something, and we wouldn't really even play the game, but just how the freedom of like having like a server that you can come to every time you like you want to be with your people, basically.
Alright. So a lot of free and creative games, space games of course, and just the freedom of a server to come to.
Yeah.
Alright.
The whole like in modern games it's oftentimes this matchmaking thing, and it's not really the same experience anymore as when back in the day you had these specific servers and there were specific people on specific servers that you would maybe be friends with or not, depending, of course.
Yeah. Can't be friends with everyone on the server, certainly not. Well, I guess most people watching this video knows already that StarMade's been in development for a while, but when did you first start thinking about making StarMade?
Well, that's not really a like specific date. It was more a hobby back in the day. I get it kind of grew out of a general game project into what it is now, and for the longest time it was more of a hobby that I would like work on on and off. And then when it kind of reached a more popular state back in 2013, I started to go like full time on it, really. When back then it was really, I still was university and stuff, like finishing up, so I didn't really know what to do really back then, if I go into game development or if I would like do another career or something, but then I kind of decided to work full on this project.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, sorry.
No, I just said I think many people are happy you took the StarMade path. It's just that.
Yeah. Well, there was like a lot of time I worked on like engine and stuff before I worked full on. That of course was all more general stuff, and just the getting to know the programming really. Aspect of everything, graphics programming, network programming, everything.
Indeed. Well, in that, you kind of partly already answered this question, but have you made other games before StarMade?
I've made some smaller projects for university mainly. There's one, there's one game I really liked that was kind of like a shoot 'em up side scroller game. It only has 3 levels. It's like everything in the game is kind of like I took the music from Nintendo games and stuff. Of course, I've never released it, so Nintendo wouldn't come after me.
Strike you.
I still play it once in a while for the nostalgia trip.
So it would be fair to say that StarMade is your first real game, kind of.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, that's a pretty huge project to start with, you know.
Oh yeah.
Or it became a huge project, I guess. It's more fair.
Yeah, like I wanted something that's not like half baked. Like I could have made it a lot smaller than it is now, and just said, yeah, that's good, and like I take like everything. I take the money and go. But I want to really complete it. I want to make it the game that I want to play.
I've actually heard that suggestion more than one time on forums and Reddit. You should have completed StarMade back in, like, I don't know, 2014, and then made StarMade 2.
Yeah, and then made StarMade 2, and then the DLC for StarMade 2.
Okay, so you're not doing like Bethesda?
I don't really like these kind of things. While Schine is a company, I'm like really solely responsible for a lot of things. There, like when it comes to development, especially.
Yeah.
So I kind of like I just want to make the game really like that. I want to make the game for other people, but mainly also for me.
Yeah.
Really. Like this is the game I want to play, and this like that's why I don't want to make like a half-baked game that I don't want to play anymore.
Well, that's a very good motivation, and I think the end result will be better because of that. You know, the community hasn't really enjoyed AAA company practices the latest years.
Yeah, I've heard there's been some controversies.
Yeah, some slight, you know, problems.
But it's a different world, really, the AAA world, and what I'm doing, really, on the more independent world. I mean, they have stock markets, and they have, like, clients to take care of. It's becoming more and more like the film industry, and I don't think that's a good thing. That's a good sign, especially. But yeah, it's what it is. It's really not. It's not possible to really halt that kind of progression, but we can make the best of it as a consumer. Just don't buy the stuff you don't like.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a different topic, I guess.
It is. We should instead move on to the next section. Alright, so section 2, the current state of Schine and StarMade, basically. And the first question there is, how large is the development team of StarMade?
Well, I'm mainly the sole programmer, really. I have some help from Lancake and from Andy on smaller stuff, but mostly I'm doing pretty much all of it. We have some other programmers that had input or have input still, but I'm really doing it myself. The main reason is probably mostly that our resources are really limited, in that while there could be like part-time, it's really hard to employ a part-time programmer for the sole reason of StarMade being that big of a project. So the time it takes to really get to know the project and internally, like all the programming stuff, since it's so huge, it ends up taking more time to work in someone that would be part-time then it would benefit a lot of time. Of course, it's still possible, but a lot of people, like a lot of programmers, don't really want to work part-time anyways. And full time is just we lack the resources to really do more than 1 or 2 additional full time, and we really have to make sure that if someone is coming on full time, that we have the right person there.
Yeah.
And
For
we of
sure.
course we cannot pay the full stuff you would get at other companies, of course, just because in terms of resources we are limited.
Limited to dedicated insider hard labor.
Yeah, the thing is, we have enough funds to continue for a long time, and that's kind of my mantra here, in that I want to be able to be working on this game.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. I want to at least have a 3 years buffer before there would be if we made no profit for 2-3 years, we would still be okay-ish.
All right. Well, that's fair enough. It's a safe route, and it's good for a indie company.
Yeah, spending money too quickly, going too much risks, it's a good way to cripple yourself and then be there with nothing. We could go all out and hire a lot of programmers, but I don't dare.
So, then I wonder, do you do other things than work on StarMade these days?
You mean in general, or on projects?
Yeah, I mean like in general. Is it 100% full-time StarMade, or are you doing other stuff too?
Well, I mean, generally, I like to play games.
All right.
Other games too. On my off time, I sometimes do StarMade, more incognito, looking around servers, checking out stuff.
Oh.
Also, I play I do a lot of well, not a lot of, but part-time a little bit of speedrunning, older retro games.
Oh wow.
I work a little bit with the speedrunning community there, and of course other modern games. I play a little bit of Overwatch. I do a little bit of Monster Hunter currently, but that's pretty much it. In terms of side projects, I there some small side projects. I do a bot on Twitch, which has kind of a quest thingy going, where you can go on a quest, text-based. It's kind of it also is a project that was completely unplanned. It was more meant as a joke.
Yeah.
And then it kind of became real. But I'm just really not it's really small. It's not really that much of a game. But there are some channels on Twitch that really like it, so I continue to put a little bit of work in it.
Yeah, maybe I have to take a look at it sometime then.
Yeah, it's Speedrun Robot is the name of the bot if you want to check it out.
Oh,
it has its own channel there. Also, I have some with programming some stuff. I looked into VR stuff a little bit.
Oh.
And it's really fun to mess around with that stuff in Unity and things, since Unity is really easy for these kind of things, since it comes with everything set up. Unity is nice for these kind of smaller project, I think, but I would never make StarMade in Unity, since you don't have that much control over the lower level stuff, especially when it comes to network. And I set up some projects on Unity already, which do the it would be nice for a simple fun VR game, and maybe I release something and according really it would be a small project that I would just do on the side when I get frustrated with some things. I work on StarMade sometimes to get overfed with if you start working on one thing for 4 weeks, you kind of need a break on, and I usually do that in other side projects.
All right, so basically, StarMade is your personal full-time work, and beside on that, you do some other things for fun, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. You mentioned retro games. While not related to StarMade, I also play a few older games, so I'm just wondering, what's your favorite retro game for speedrunning?
For speedrunning, I think like for playing it would be a different one for than for speedrunning, because if you speedrun a game...
Alright, choose one for speedrunning and choose one for playing.
I think the closest one that comes for a good game for both would be Mega Man 2 for NES.
Okay.
I really like the speedrun and I really like the normal game too. It's just an all-out good game. Also, like, of course, the usual things like Link to the Past, of course, for any SNES.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I haven't tried Mega Man yet, actually. Maybe I have to.
Mega Man 2 is a good Mega Man to start on, since it's probably one of the easiest casually.
Alright, so then I'm just... we're just heading back to StarMade there, and I just want to ask you what you think captivates players the most that are into StarMade. What makes people really get into the game?
I think it's kind of like a little bit the same what kind of drew me as an inspiration, what I said in the beginning, in that the freedom, and I think it kind of captivates people that have a similar set of games that they like, that kind of games. I noticed it when I talked to StarMade players, that their interest in games is not always, but a lot of times pretty similar to mine. Like, they play games I would play, so like we have probably a similar mindset when it comes down to that. And I also, of course, what I said before with the freedom in multiplayer, that you kind of have your community there, and also of course the creative freedom, and that you can build anything you want, of course, and of course the size of it in the terms of StarMade.
So one might say that you would think that StarMade captivates people because it's a creative outlet of other worlds. Yeah,
that would be a good way to put it.
I noticed, like the 40k community had some pretty awesome builds in StarMade. Those huge cathedral spaceship mixes. It's a 40k. Warhammer 40k, that is.
They have some really awesome designs there.
Oh, yes. And I guess this is probably the same thing, but then I was supposed to ask you the same thing. What you personally think is the best feature or mechanic of StarMade?
I think that would be something probably not that many people would be expecting. I think like the best decision I made in terms of features for StarMade was to build it multiplayer from the very beginning. Even though that along the way had a lot of hurdles, and a lot of the crashes that you see in StarMade especially, they are related to multiplayer, but it makes development about 100 times harder and 100 times slower. But at the end you will save a lot of time that you put in previously, since like you cannot really make a game multiplayer that wasn't meant to be multiplayer from the very beginning. So if you like, even if you take shortcuts, I can do this in single player, do it multiplayer later, like implementing multiplayer later is not really a thing, and you kind of see that in like some games that have like added multiplayer afterwards, in how much trouble that was for them, and you kind of have to like rewrite the whole game to make it multiplayer. So I mean, you just basically you save yourself doing the game twice in a way. You still have to put in those 100 times more than afterwards for the second iteration.
All right. So on the best feature is implementing multiplayer from the very beginning.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh well, that I think that is something people wouldn't think of probably.
Yeah, I mean, in gameplay aspects, there are a lot of things, but like for me personally, like the multiplayer thing is really one of the main points.
All right, so we'll move to the next question. StarMade has a lot of competing space voxel games like Space Engineers, Empyrean, Sky Wanderers, and many others. What makes StarMade have a larger potential to its competition, according to you?
I think there are a lot of differences in these games with each other and also to StarMade. I think these kind of differences, if you look past the surface of them being like voxel space games, these differences become a lot more visible. But especially for StarMade, these differences will become a lot more visible within the universe update, in which we plan to actually add the actual like gameplay content for the game, and there StarMade is probably then a lot of a different game compared to these other games, both in gameplay and how you play. There are already a lot of like major differences between the games, of course. One would be that one game is a lot for collisions, for example, or for physics, while StarMade is made to be more on the grander scale of things in terms of like blocks. That's why I was so sparingly using like custom blocks, for example, because I know how much strain custom blocks would put on the physics system, and I always build StarMade with performance in mind first. Even though that's of course not always the case when you have sometimes stuff crawling to like 1 FPS. But
Pandora Haven, yes.
Yeah. But still, there are a lot of things, like there are a lot of causes for these things. So when that kind of thing happens, it's always a bottleneck that you have to get rid of, and each bottleneck removes kind of upgrades the whole thing as a whole. So for StarMade, there's also a lot of upgrade potential. Like I'm currently updating every system or library in the game. The game already runs in Java 11 for the universe update. I'm doing that basically, and I'm also gonna update the graphics library, which gives me a lot more options. There's often a misconception that StarMade basically the graphics runs in Java, which is not really something that is a thing, because we're running like OpenGL like any C++ program would do, or any other language. You just directly target the graphics card. And upgrading that will also add more functionality. For example, the new version of the graphics library comes with the implementation of Steamworks, which will then enable us to like use all of these nice Steam features easily without having to do it ourselves. Like you would be able to like right click on a friend and join the game from there. But we would also be able to like implement Vulkan if we so pleased. The Vulkan OpenGL extension, which gives more low-level access, and that's why I'm so happy that I was using like my own engine, so I have full control over that. I can still upgrade system, I can still make them faster, while if you're using like a pre-made engine, for example, you're kind of confined by that. It's very nice and very fast to develop, but for a game like this, you're really confined after a while.
So and you're very happy with your own custom engine.
Yeah, and I'm also used like, especially for Java, since that's always a main point of criticism, is that you don't have to use Java in Java. Basically, you can use any C++ library that you please. And I'm looking into doing that with the physics foremost, just using the C bindings for the physics library, which would then just make the physics run in C instead of Java. Which should give a nice performance update. And the good thing about Java is that it's kind of the best of both worlds. That it's not that low level that you get problems with large projects, because of how hard it is to maintain, but it's also not that high level that you don't have control over all the low level stuff.
Well, that's nice. Nice mix. Of course, I don't know the details myself, but I'm sure that many listening to this have tried some game development themselves, so it's enlightening.
Yeah. So what I'm planning to do is basically I plan to do all of the main stuff in Java and then offload all the computing heavy stuff onto native C stuff.
All right. Well, sounds like it makes sense.
But yeah, that's a little bit off topic.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, yeah.
Like in general, for
yes.
like StarMade being out there in competition, is that StarMade focuses on a lot of different things that other voxel games do. Like, I think StarMade still has some of the largest structures you can find in these voxel games, especially structures that are still able to somewhat collide with each other, even though sometimes, depending on the speed of the server and other things, is kind of problematic, but we're trying to get that out of the way.
Yeah. Well, so basically, StarMade's edge in this comparison would be the immense scale that you can build things to that are still kind of stable and usable.
Yeah, and I think another edge would be all the work we have put in under the surface, that it's like a homemade engine that is now getting in a better and better state, and where like the game is in a state now where we can add the content. Well, if you add the content first and then do the foundations, you kind of like will probably run into a brick wall. Like for example, like I said earlier, if you make the game not completely multiplayer from the very start, you will eventually, like, adding multiplayer later is not really a thing. You can do it, but like kind of end up having to remake a lot of stuff. So like StarMade, it's made with multiplayer. Everything I do, every feature is multiplayer by design, basically.
All right.
So we can add content from now on in the universe update, and that's basically what the state is now.
Well, that's very nice. And above that, we will move over to section 3, the future of the game. So, will we see any drastic change in how the game works in terms of building and how system works? Like in-game systems.
Okay, so for the ships, the biggest update that everyone probably knows about is the power and weapon update. And that was basically the plan to do before the universe update, to be the last big change that comes to ships. There would be still minor updates, for example, to like the reactor balance and like minor stuff, but I don't want people to have again to strip down their ships and remake stuff. And kind of the reactor system helps with maintaining that kind of meta in a way, in that that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make reactor a smaller part of the ship, because like if something changes in terms of balance, you don't have to tear down the whole ship, you just have to do minor changes, especially with like the chamber system that is also modular, that you don't have to like completely reinvent your ship like you had to do with the power update. So for me that was kind of quote-unquote necessary evil to do to get the game into a better state, since the old power system it kind of ran itself into a state where there would have been like kind of no more progress from there. Like there would be more and more, and eventually you cannot go anymore, and then if you do like an update then and change everything, then it would be even worse. So I wanted to do it now and then do the universe update, so everything, like every ship that you build now should be usable after the universe update, basically.
Yeah, I'll just clarify for players that haven't tuned into the game for a very long time. So building power in long rods is not a thing anymore. now people usually build them in clumps, and yeah, that's the fastest explanation about that. You can't have multiple reactors, it has to be one thing. Or you can have multiple, but you can't use them at the same time. Yeah.
Only one active.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sure it's a necessary evil. I've spent very much time myself refitting ships like everyone else.
Yeah, I'm sorry about like.
No, I think the change is for the better. I think the change is for the better because, yeah, it removes spaghetti ship problem. Mostly. Yeah,
there's still some exploits, but I kind of made the rule system and that in mind to make it easier for server admins to identify and kind of eliminate that kind of problem. But like for the reactors itself, like them being smaller and like the whole system being a little bit different, there is just makes it so that coming changes to balance or anything wouldn't affect most ships.
It's so much easier building interiors now than you don't have to fit a three-dimensional tube shape inside.
Yeah, like there's still min-maxing, but I think min-maxing has a different dynamic to it now. Like before, min-maxing was just I fill up everything with power and systems. And now it's like you can still fill it kind of up your ship, but you'd still have to like at least plan it a little bit more.
And add the chambers.
Yeah, the chambers especially. Yeah.
And there, I guess, chambers, you know, all chambers are not put into effect if anyone is, you know, confused, but they will be.
Yeah, they're definitely. The reason why chambers are kind of like not really completed is that chambers are probably one of the main point of contention that will be used with the universe update, because there's going to be some changes to systems. Everything is gonna change there basically. Like everything on the ship is gonna kind of stay the same, but anything around the ship is probably gonna change.
Okay. Can you explain a little bit more what you mean with things around the ship?
Basically the whole universe, like the shape of it, foremost, and of course the look of it, kind of like. Also, I kind of want to make it so that you kind of know where you are in the universe by just or in the galaxy rather, by just looking around. Like the whole procedural generation is nice and all, but if there is no purpose to it, if you fly further out, you just see the same stuff, and that's a major problem with games that procedurally generate in general. So what I kind of want to make is I want to still have like infinity, of course, but the game would be the game board, if you will, would be kind of confined to a more local space, and that local space would be very fleshed out.
So basically, you can go over there, but you won't have any resources, maybe.
Yeah. The game would kind of naturally put rocks in your way. There wouldn't be like any like invisible wall or anything. You can still go out there. You can still explore. There would be like procedural generated stuff there, but like the thing is, like it would be kind of more a treasure hunt, or more or less it would just be one small part of the whole thing. Like you could go out there and maybe you could even find some new flash out galaxy, but I'm not sure yet on that. I just want to focus on this one local space that has a lot of it to it. Basically, you can explore. I mean, it still would be really huge, because I mean, if you look at the galaxy right now, you can never be to every sector. Like this, there's just not
it's impossible
enough time in a lifetime for one person to visit every sector in one galaxy at the moment. So if we scale it down and have it more stuff in it, basically more meat to it, different regions, different stellar objects, different background,
Yeah.
like with like a nebula, for example, or black holes. We already have black holes, but they would change.
Yeah, I really thought about this actually, you know, the background. Will the background still be like random when you go to sectors, or will there be some, you know, I don't know, blue part and red part of a galaxy?
They would. I kind of want to remake them into them reflecting kind of what part of the galaxy you are in and reflecting the stars that are around you. So that goes in part what I said in the beginning. I kind of want the game for players to know where they are in the galaxy by just looking around, basically. Also, like objects in the sky, like nebulas, for example, or even like quote-unquote weather, like storms that go through the universe. You would be kind of seeing that in the distance and could also fly into them if you so wanted to.
That's very cool.
And that was part of the reason why I did the whole effect system too, that like the chamber system already uses, because that effect system also works for the sector system. In that you can apply different values, and one of them would be that there would be like different zones, especially where different attributes would be added to you in every ship that would visit them. Like, what about a zone, for example, where there is some gravity affecting you, or a zone where no shields work, or a zone where cannons are completely useless, or a zone where cannons are completely overpowered. Like, you could have so much different things, so much different interesting things there. And you don't have to spread them out. You can just put them in a very dense order. So you have, when you join a game, you have a lot of stuff to explore that isn't really. I mean, there would still be, of course, travel time in between, since it would still be super large, but like it would not be on the other side of the universe. Everything in between wouldn't matter anymore, because now you have this more confined space. Everything in between is basically something that matters too.
Yeah, definitely.
And for the sector system is going to go away.
Oh, really?
In the foreground, basically. It will still be there for the background for technical purposes, because that's how I do the workaround between having to use double precision for every value, like Minecraft does. Problem with that is that you size up everything when it doesn't have to, because you will not like jump huge distances on a basically second basis, so that a long would even, like a double precision would even matter. So that's why the sector system is there, so that from a technical standpoint you can work with single precision, and that's good for not only graphics because it's faster, it's also good for network because you don't have to send double the data for every positional data you're sending. It also is good for encapsulation of physics. Like, if you have one big world, you would have to dynamically create bubbles anyways for the physics. And while the physics is doing that on a low level anyways, so-called physics islands, it's much easier to do with single precision also there, because you don't have to do it with a lot more data. Like, it would just load up everything.
Well, yes.
Yeah, and so basically there would still be sectors. I want to upgrade the whole sector system in that you would not realize when you cross the sector border anymore. Yeah, like that would be seamless, and that's kind of what I'm aiming for as like one of the basic parts of the universe update, in that making sector borders disappear. And from there, there would be a new system emerging that would be regions, basically, which would be a set of sectors. And everything could be a lot more dynamic in those. In that there would be stars with systems with planets around them, like you see them now, but they would not be like in this rigid grid system.
Yeah.
At least not visibly for the player. It would still be kind of confined to sectors. Sectors would become a lot bigger to begin with, but there would be fewer of them. And more stuff in them.
Yeah. And not the same stuff in them.
Yeah. So we can have like suns more fleshed out and like stars in general. I mean,
don't get zapped by a pulsar.
Yeah.
Systems.
Oh yeah.
You dropped them.
Also planned.
Oh really? That's cool.
Pulsars was one of the things we came up with, like for when I said before that the player wants to know where he is in the universe, and what better to use for that we use as humans ourselves is kind of like pulsars in a way. Determine where we are. I mean, we determine it in a different way, of course, the real world. But for a player, just visually, okay, there's this pulsar system, or this pulsar star, so I kind of know where I am, because there's like this other star next to it, so yeah, that's kind of where I am right now, and that's where I want to go relative to it. The universe will also flatten down in a way.
Disk?
Yeah, mostly for gameplay purposes, that you would not go you would not go up and down a lot to visit. Like stars would still be on a different plane, of course. They would not be like a single plane,
but mainly like most real galaxies, or at least
there would be rarely any star on top of each other on a vertical, like on the y-axis, which makes it then much easier to navigate, to know where you are too, because you like it would be in a way a little bit like Stellaris does their map, and Stellaris of course a vastly different game for just like being a strategy game, but everything in Stellaris is kind of laid out, whilst the stars, if you like zoom in, they're still not on the same plane. They're like a little bit more on top or a little bit more on the bottom, but like these kind of like star maps would be what I'm aiming for, and then a region would be a collection of stars, or we're not 100% sure what they entail, but like the region would be kind of like a point of interest, and that's something you can control. That's something that has special properties to it.
You dropped a pretty interesting word a few minutes back, and that's planets. Is this something that's possible to comment on, or will it remain a secret for a little longer?
I mean, there have been some pictures in the Discord, and yeah, those pictures kind of are development planets. They are not very fast at the moment, but that's also one of the points I want to make. In the beginning of the universe update, there would be a lot of performance upgrades to the graphics in general, mainly one being a new occlusion color, which would just generally upgrade performance for these kind of huge structures. And another one would be a top-level LOD system where blocks in the distance just like get simplified.
Yeah, kind of not fade away, but
yeah.
But I think I missed those pictures. I check from time to time at the StarMade Discord, but I'm not constantly monitoring like I imagine development team might be doing.
Yeah, someone somehow somehow loaded, and I'm still not sure how that was even possible, but it somehow loaded for one person and he made pictures of it.
Oh wow. How does the new planets, how will they look? What shape will they be?
They will still be round.
Okay.
The main upgrade to them is that we would be using one continuous generation algorithm, so that would mitigate there would still be like plates, but they would be now have a completely made core, like everything would be a block. And there would not be Yeah, there would not be a planet core thing like we have now. The
So it would be round and not a dodecahedron.
It would be an what's the name? Isocahedron. I'm not forgot the kind of name. It would have a lot more plates. That makes it a lot more round. Like it actually looks round then. And the transitions between plates would be kind of minimal because of like using one continuous generation algorithm kind of makes them a lot better in that regard. And I'm also also looking into filling up the gaps between plates, so you wouldn't even see if there's a plate transition.
So basically, there will be many small plates that kind of merge into each other.
Yes, in a way. They would probably not merge more than they would kind of like have webbing in between them. Like you wouldn't be able to fall into it. You would be able to dig through it now.
Okay.
I also want to like redo the whole gravity thing on them so that you like would not notice anything between plates. I also want to do probably plate connection in that it would be easier to connect structures on multiple plates with each other.
Yeah, I thought about that. What if I make a city on a planet and it covers different plates? Is that
if
possible?
you build it up, it would still kind of like go in different directions, but that's kind of the problem with putting a spherical object into a block world in general. Like we played around with a lot of things, and like it's just so much of a like there so much approaches to planets, like warping the whole sector to be spherical, to like just making a cube planet. There's so many different approaches, and we definitely looked at pretty much every one of them.
Yeah. And
a lot of these approaches that seem easy on the outside, like okay, just make it like this, just make it like this. It would be easy. Like they have so many problems that they are basically dragging in. Like if you warp space, that's nice and all for graphics, but you still have to do the physics for it. So you have to warp space for the physics too, which means that like everything undergoes kind of a strange thing there, and like it just wouldn't work really.
All right. So this many plate mesh sphere thing, is it still? I assume it's not, but I don't know. Maybe there will be some thing that makes it possible to like bridge over to two plates.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking into basically for the universe update. In that, it would be a lot easier to also create like your personal webbing in between plates, so you could kind of fill it up yourself.
Okay. Then the next question comes: the new planets. Can you save them? Can I save something? Can I save a planet?
Save them?
Yeah. Like create a save of.
A
planets.
blueprint, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't see why that wouldn't be possible. Yeah.
No. It's just you know, the old planets. You had to save the sector and not the object.
Oh yeah. I probably, since like the old planets are kind of like wonky in that they kind of like locked to the core. With the new ones, it's a lot easier because they don't have a core anymore. They are just a connection. It's a lot easier to create a save out of them because it's basically just all the plates are docked to a main mother planet object that doesn't show.
Yeah.
So what you would be saving is basically that mother object, and would just come out like any other ship with turrets. Basically, it would work the exact same way.
All right. Well, in any case, I think we should move on to the next question. And then I wonder, will any of the blocks currently in the game be removed in future updates, like warheads or something?
Probably not. There are some blocks that are kind of like deprecated in a way. But I try to not remove blocks in general. What I like, if a block ceases to be usable in game, it would still either be around as decoration or get a different purpose.
Yeah, I mean, self-destructing systems with warheads would not be wrong.
Yeah, I definitely want something like the warhead.
Indeed.
Always.
Then I'm happy, because I like the warhead. Okay, so in the latest update, it's understood that StarMade will be very customizable in terms of how systems work, like with the rules. However, might that not cause that it's hard to share builds if, you know, different servers has vastly different settings?
Yes, that is one of the problems that would come from that. However, with the rule system in place, it's easy for servers to make exceptions to rules if they want specific ships on their server.
Okay.
However, like that's kind of like you can always go from like a system that uses integrity to a system that doesn't use integrity, because like that would not matter. Going the other way around would kind of be the problem. But that's kind of why that's kind of the main purpose of the system, to prevent that in a way. Because if you made a spaghetti ship on a server that allows it, it would not like the server owner would not want it to be brought on a server that doesn't allow that kind of ship. So that's kind of the main purpose of the rule system, to prevent these kind of builds. To share builds that don't work everywhere, I mean, you can still share them, of course. They would not be they would still all be loadable, but it just depends on the server if they allow that kind of ship or not.
All right. Well, that's fair enough. And then we can move to the next thing, and that is the bubble shield system, which for people that haven't tuned in for a while in StarMade, now the shield generation makes kind of a bubble, and inside that bubble it protects the blocks from outside damage of the bubble, but the bubble isn't visible. Now many players thinks this is a little bit complex and hard to understand. Will the shield bubble system stay, or will it be simplified to an easier model like some other systems?
They probably will stay in that like shields will be area based. But what I kind of want to change is how it's presented, because it's not presented in a very easy to understand way at the moment, which is kind of bad. So the way shield bubbles cover blocks, I want to make more apparent. Also the way that the shield bubbles grow and like intersect with other, just like this kind of system is, I think, is the main thing what makes it complicated, in that you don't really know what exactly happens when you place the block. And that kind of I want to upgrade to a way where it's more context help based, in that you see exactly what's happened when you place on the blocks. You don't need to read through anything. You place it, and the system gives you enough feedback to know what exactly you did, or what exactly you did wrong in that point.
All right. Yeah, because it can be a little challenging to cover an entire ship with shields while not overlap the bubbles.
Yeah, exactly. So for this kind of stuff, there would be probably more upgrades to the bubbles in general, like either allowing more overlap or to change the bubble a little bit, in that you could like squeeze it maybe.
Deform the bubble kind of to cover. Okay. Well, that makes sense. I think that would solve many of those area problems. But the shield bubbles are interesting in one part, and that it will be much harder for someone to make a shield only ship.
Yeah, the main purpose of the shield bubble was to take away that general defense that shields had before. Like you could make a shield on one part of the ship and then build an island out in almost another like world, like 50 kilometers away, and that part of the ship would still get fully shielded, and that kind of was a problem. It's also part of the like came with like the old integrity and stuff. The problem with shields is that there would not be a valid way to like simplify that into a rule system, because like you cannot really switch off shield bubbles for a ship and just switch to the old system, really, because they work so vastly different, other than with like integrity or the energy beam. And I still like the shield bubble system in how it like enhances the dynamic. You're right in that it's problematic to like cover ships, and that's something I have to work on. In that, like I said, make it more customizable.
Yeah.
How the bubble works, and make it more easier to manage and maintain.
Yeah, I guess that something that people forget about shield bubbles is that if I go inside the shield bubble, I deal full damage to the ship and the shield is ignored, right?
That I don't think that's a thing at all. No.
Okay, it's not a thing anymore.
That's an interesting idea.
I may be mistaken, but I thought it was a thing. But then we can let that be worked on, because what I was going to say is that you don't know when you come with an outside ship when you're inside a bubble.
Yeah. For that, you would have to like make it visible to where the bubbles are. Yeah. What was probably the cause of that is that there have been bugs to the shield system, in that sometimes damage would go through, and people probably thought that was because they were inside the bubble or not. So like these kind of things then always go from bugs. There are a lot of like rumors oftentimes that like cause these kind of things then.
I understand. It's like experience-based misconceptions.
Yeah.
All right. In that case, we can move on, and that is, what are your StarMade expectations for 2019?
So 2019 will be completely universe update. I really hope to finish it by the end of 2019. And that would essentially, hopefully, mean that the game would go into beta by then.
All right. A good friend of mine really wants to know if and when there will be a new official build competition for builds that will end up in the official game.
So at the moment, Saber is doing contract, which would basically be somewhat of a build competition. It's that like he basically issues contracts for different ships, for different factions, and that would be kind of like a certain style, how to make them.
Yeah.
And you could take on these contracts and then build a ship, and those ships would then eventually end up in the game.
All right. So it's basically like someone wants weapons, says make an AK-47, and then just choose the manufacturer, kind of.
Yeah, in a way.
But with more more creative freedom, I guess. All right, and then we have, so right now one can buy StarMade to support the game. One can also play the demo, which is the full game. But how much will StarMade cost when the free-to-play period is over?
I'm not 100% sure on that yet, but it would be probably around $25, $30-ish.
Oh, sounds reasonable. Right, so in this state, of course, the game has to be worked on more before it's like advertised out to everyone, like some campaign or something. But how will the game be advertised to get new players and also bring old players back when the game is ready for release?
There would be a whole set of trailers. We also have all the Steam visibility rounds still. Didn't use any of them. For trailers, there would be trailers on pretty much all the new features we have, like new planets, the new universe, all the different aspects to it, and like that trailer, we would have like trailers to be on a more hype level, but also trailers to be like more explanatory in what we actually did and how the universe changes. The hype one is probably more aimed towards new players, like showing off planets and what you can do in this game, and the other ones is probably more for old players or players who know about the game, in that, okay, this changed, this is all the new stuff you can see, and this is basically what you can do in the game, because for a lot of players that's one of the most important aspects, and what can you do in a game. Like the most beautiful game is nice and all, but if you cannot do in the game, it doesn't really hold your attention that much. Depending, like, of course, I mean, depending on what type of player you are, basically. Like if you play the game for single player, there isn't really that much to it at the moment, so that's kind of what the universe update also would change. So that would be kind of then introduced in these kind of trailers.
So basically trailers with fancy trailers, and also this is what happened and this is why you should get back in a technical way. Yeah,
so there would probably, I think one of the best ways it has been done was the announcement of like Civilization 6, where they did like monthly or weekly, bi-weekly trailers for introducing the different parts of the game they already made, basically.
Okay.
And that's kind of what I'm aiming at. I want to make trailers on the things I've already made.
Yeah.
Especially for the universe updates, so like there would be a set, so you could kind of like, not everything condensed into one trailer where there would be too much information, but we would focus on different aspects of the game.
All right. Okay, so already there are a few mods in StarMade, but how moddable will StarMade be when it's released?
So a lot of the modding will come from the config stuff in general already, but the more intricate modding, I want to kind of hold off on that until the beta, because then I know the game would be feature complete. So that means that there would be less huge changes. So that's when you can kind of put in like a modding API, because like the problem with modding is always that if the game vastly changes, then the mod becomes useless and you can't use it anymore without updating. So I'm waiting for the game to be in a more solid state to introduce the modding, and then I probably also open up the whole code, like unobfuscated, so like modding will be a lot easier.
Oh, all right. I think that will be interesting to many like mod creators, but basically modding will be a thing, but that will be implemented more when the game is kind of ready for the market.
Yeah.
Alright, so the universe update the next big update. We already talked about what it will bring, but what can we expect? When can we expect it to come out?
I hope it for like the end of this year. Like there's a ton of things I have to do. Like the whole upgrade thing is kind of like this moment, like upgrading all the libraries.
Yeah.
And then basically tearing down the whole universe and rebuilding it. But I think end of this year is somewhat realistic. As the earliest probably. And the latest I would say like first half of 2020.
Alright. So basically a universe update, hopefully, until the end of this year, or latest first half of 2020 then.
Yeah.
And you mentioned,
basically what I consider to be a beta for me always is feature completeness.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could there's no convention on what you call an alpha and what you call an beta. So anyone can call their own project whatever they want. I could call it full release now if I wanted to, but I don't want to. So for me, a beta is feature completeness. That's why it has taken so long, basically, because like you could already call it a beta and get more people to play, but like because like that word beta has a little bit of traction to it. But I'm holding off for my own purpose and for not like screwing players over in that they think there's like some major change when there really isn't.
Yeah.
So for me, beta always was feature completeness, and after like as soon as it enters beta state, I want to make quality of life changes, polishing, and of course ton of bug fixing.
Yeah, definitely.
And that should be basically 90% of the beta phase then. All of that. And then after that it's full release.
Well, I wonder, we talked a little bit about it before we started the recording, but the new audio for the StarMade, it will also be implemented into the universe update, if I didn't understand you incorrectly.
Yes. The main reason I held off on that is that the sound library was kind of wonky. So now with upgrading all the libraries, I finally have full control over that. New systems, new integrations that are made much better. So I will probably start on implementing audio in February.
Oh, all right. That's very early. January now, so.
Yeah, it might still be some time for like the first prototype build to be playable.
Yeah.
On that whole thing, but the first prototype will probably have the new audio system. I can't promise that like all the audio is then already in, but it definitely has the API to put in the audio for our audio people, basically.
Yeah, well, that's nice. All right, so now I think the interview so far has kind of covered this, but StarMade has taken a lot of time to develop to this point, with all the changes and all the building of the game engine and stuff like that. So people naturally wonder, what is your earliest and most distant release date for StarMade?
So, as said, once it enters beta, it would be only polishing and bug fixing, so I don't expect the beta phase to take very long, to be honest. So, the beta phase will likely take, I would guess, half a year at max until the full release. So, the alpha phase is like the big thing here, and since my definition of beta was always feature completeness, the beta phase will not really take very long.
So, of course, this is a hard thing to guess on, but would you have an estimation of a date it would be released?
Maybe end of 220, but like this is very, very, very vague.
Yeah. So probably earliest end of 2020.
Yeah, earliest.
All right. And the most distant release date. Let's not guess on that.
I cannot, like I really cannot, because like you don't know what kind of things are going to be thrown in your way programming wise.
Of course.
What like life will do with you. Maybe something good or bad can happen that will either speed up or slow down a development. You never know.
Never know. Well, let's hope for a long and prosperous life then. Now, I'm actually out of questions that I was supposed to ask, but I just got this little idea. StarMade final, version. Will there be consumables?
Consumables? Yeah, probably.
That's cool.
I don't know yet about like the whole survival aspect. If I kind of want to do survival, yes, but not in a way that you see it in a lot of current games, in that you like have hunger and stuff. Because I think StarMade as a whole is a lot grander in concept. So I kind of, if there are like needs, those needs would have to reflect kind of the game more. And I think like hunger in a space game is, I'm not sure, like I'm a big fan of like space shows, like for example Star Trek. So and hunger is not really ever a issue in Star Trek. So but there are a lot of other issues that are there, and I kind of want to reflect more on those, and kind of like the survival aspect. Like if you see like the Enterprise flying around in new space, they have certain things they have to do to stay afloat, and I think the least of their worries is getting food after the replicator or something.
So I think that just the fact that there are consumables that are usable will throw a lot of bones to role players. But if I understand you correctly, you want to implement consumables, but you will not want to have systems like hunger, disease, and I don't know, can your character breathe air or something?
Yeah, I'm not 100% on the air yet, but I also like on the other things I can't promise anything yet, but I kind of want to make it more in a so it's not tedious, because like if these gameplay elements are just there to keep you busy, I don't think it's really that fun to use anymore.
No,
like
not
every need you have should have kind of a purpose to also get you further. And I mean, there are games, the really good survival games, that are made around that kind of purpose. Like you are in that world, you kind of want to make like better structures to get food faster, of course, because then you have more time to do other things at the same time. So you upgrade all of that, and that's kind of, that whole game is, however, built around that kind of mechanic. And StarMade is not, and I don't want StarMade to be built around those kind of mechanics.
Don't want to be shifting focus away from that.
Yeah.
But you mentioned that you're not sure about air, so do you want to develop on that, or do you want to brood on it?
I will definitely look into it. Like the air thing is it's one of those things that are nice in concept, but might get out of hand fast. Not only as a gameplay element, in that it might become tedious, or like it mostly for like implementing it. Like if there are any bugs to it, it will become tedious very fast. It's a similar thing why there's no fall damage in StarMade, because like if there's any bug in fall damage, you just die by walking or something. That's super annoying. And it's similar with the air, kind of like if there's any bug where you suddenly like run out of air out of nowhere, then that would become super annoying fast. So if I do air, I want to make it so that it's definitely not tedious.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, there are very many popular Android skins around too. Guess they don't need air. Oh well. We'll see what happens. Basically, well, I'm hoping for consumables, even though they're useless.
Well, I mean, there would be other purposes to consumables than just like taking away your hunger, maybe.
Become drunk.
Maybe.
Annoying visual bug. Well, don't drink and drive. Now you ended up in a black hole. Oh,
but there could be consumables that would maybe like benefit your ship or benefit your
wow, that's pretty
player.
Cool.
Also looking into items that would like upgrade your ship, kind of in a way that. So you would basically get these items by doing quests or other activities. With different difficulties, and you could like this is all very vague. I don't want to like promise anything.
No,
like,
of course.
You could take these items and, for example, put them in your reactor, and that item would, for example, give you extra reactor capacity, maybe. But that's of course very overpowered. So maybe something less drastic, like give you certain chamber even, or a chamber effect. More or less, that you wouldn't have to build a chamber for, so you would kind of be able to like outfit your ship in a way that like a Diablo player would outfit their gear in a way.
Oh yeah. Well, I thought about just a little bit about weapons and armor and like player collisions, because sometimes it can be the different players can be like glitched out when you try to shoot them with your handguns. Yeah. But I guess that might disappear with the update of.
Yeah, I definitely want to fix all those player issues. Maybe with the updated physics library, that would be a lot easier, because like this stuff I'm working with is kind of old in a way. But I mean, it's not old in a way that it can't be fixed. I still can fix that too. It's just like kind of have to redo the character physics a little bit.
All right. Well, I was thinking about personal equipment and gear and stuff. Like the standard laser pistol feels pretty like barebone. Will they be like I don't know, updated or something like that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like this is also one of the main aspects of the Uranus update, getting more gear in for the player characters to use.
All right.
More weapons, different weapons, some more cool stuff.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. Me and Xaber had a great blast trying some FPS battles.
Yeah, it sometimes get buggy, unfortunately, and that definitely fixed that. It's mostly like the syncing that's kind of bugged. The server thinking you're somewhere else than the client shows you.
I think that the fact that all blocks can be destroyed makes hand-to-hand combat pretty interesting. Only if the weapons were a little bit more interesting, it could be open up great many game modes.
Oh yeah. That's kind of what I want to do. Like get more weapons, more options for maneuverability. Like maybe getting like jetpacks. Also different things that affect your character's movement. Maybe like a jump pad or something. Like Quake has it.
Moon boots.
Yeah.
All right. Oh well. I think that. I don't have anything more to ask you. I don't know if you want to throw any questions at me or at the community in general. You may do so.
Just in general, I'm very thankful for everybody that plays the game and gives me feedback. And I'm happy that people enjoy the game. There's no greater feeling for me, pretty much. And I hope you all be a little bit. I know it's taken a long time, and it will take in a little bit more time further, but I really do my best, and I hope everybody will enjoy what I then finally will come up with, and just just a little bit more patience.
Well, at least some of us are patient, others are less patient. But,
yeah, that's understandable, of course.
Oh
like,
well.
I mean,
yeah. Sorry.
People like it. Even if people like, even in harsh criticism, if people care about the game, then that makes me at least partly happy.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people are emotional because they care about things, and that's maybe a little bit of a grain of salt there.
Oh well. Oh well. Can't please everyone, I guess, as you said before.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, in that case, well, I've been enjoying the game very much. Probably apparent by the amount of videos and time spent in the game. But
yeah, thank you very much for making all those videos.
My pleasure. Too. Thanks for a great coming up game. Well, in any case, I just want to say a huge thanks to you that you accepted this interview, and I think it will be very interesting for large parts of the community to watch this, so thank you.
You're welcome.
And with that, I will say to everyone watching this quite long video, I think, thanks very much for watching. This is Gmodism, Total Nerdy Channel with Schema, signing out.
Goodbye.
If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like. If you wanna see more videos like this, you should subscribe. Also check out my other StarMade videos. I also want to say thanks to Marty and Tram, who support the channel by Patreon, which helps out a lot. And also, huge thanks again to Schema, who agreed to participate in this interview, which for me was very interesting to know more about where the game is heading and also the history of it. If you want to know more about StarMade, check the links below, get into the Discord and talk around. I hope I will be seeing you around the channel, around Twitch and around my Discord too in the future. This is Gmodism, Total Nerdy Channel.